hello and a very warm welcome to Brand Equity, your weekly guide into the world of advertising and marketing. I'm Sonali Krishna and we've got an exciting show lined up for you. It's been a very hectic week for the advertising fraternity. Right on top, a candid chat with Bobby Pawar, JWT's latest Chief Creative Officer, and Colvyn Harris, the CEO of JWT, on why they believe the top creative position is going to work this time round for the agency. Meet David Calhoun, the global CEO of Nielsen, to get his view on the surrounding economic crisis, its impact on consumer behavior, businesses, and consumption patterns. And last but not the least, we get you candid views from Indian flyers on their perception of the Kingfisher airline brand, given the fact that it's currently facing turbulent times. The big story this week is clearly Bobby Pawar, the Chief Creative Officer of Mudra, calling it quits to join JWT as managing partner and CCO. What's interesting about this move is the fact that A, Bobby Pawar was doing very well for himself at Mudra, and now with Omnicom buying in the majority stake, his role would have actually become even larger. B, the fact that JWT has a history of failures when it comes to having a Chief Creative Officer. The last one to bite the bullet was the award-winning creative director Adrian Miller, who only managed to survive a year. But Colvyn Harris, the long-standing CEO of JWT, is a man who doesn't give up. And this seems to be his biggest bet, something he definitely cannot afford to fold too quickly. I caught up with the two protagonists themselves to have a candid chat on how they see this pan out. But before that, here's some perspective on how the past creative flag bearers of the agency went down.
A phenomenon that began in 2008. First with Agnello Dias' exit as Chief Creative Officer from JWT India. In fact, Agnello was the third NCD to call it quits in a span of 18 months, the other two being Bruce Mashett and Josie Paul. It was almost a 360-degree phenomena, as following suit was creative head of JWT Calcutta, Shamik Sengupta. As if that wasn't enough, the agency made yet another big mistake by bringing in expat creative director Adrian Miller on board as the Chief Creative Officer of Delhi, which immediately led to two high-profile exits, that of Anuja Chauhan and Elvis Sequeira. And then in 2011, Adrian Miller ensured that history not be rewritten and followed tradition by calling it quits within a year. And mind you, these are just names of the creative fraternity at JWT. The list is endless if one names professionals outside creative, Rohit Ori being one of the biggest losses for JWT. So this is what JWT will look like in its new avatar. Bobby Pawar comes in at the helm of all creative affairs at JWT as managing partner and CCO. He will be partnered by three NCDs, namely Senthil Kumar, Teesta Sen and Swati Bhattacharya, who will be taking on regional creative portfolios. The move will no doubt make Bobby one of the most powerful creative personalities in India, given the fact that JWT boasts of more than 200 top-notch clients, making it the largest agency in the country. Yet another ambitious creative experiment by Colvyn Harris.
Thank you so much for joining us, Colvyn and Bobby. Truly a pleasure to have you on Brand Equity. So some really big news coming our way with Bobby, you finally deciding to say goodbye to Mudra, your 4-year stint coming to an end and joining the big world of JWT. It's a brave decision.
It's an interesting decision. I don't know, brave, whatever, but I'm excited to, get on board and get on with it.
So, Colvyn, just to backtrack a bit and, flashback. The last time, we had a conversation was when Adrian Miller decided to say goodbye. And I remember you had made a statement saying that, it doesn't work for you having one national creative director or a chief creative officer because of the fact that you have such a large office, the largest clearly in the country with so many clients. It's difficult for one person to handle the entire gamut. What changed and why Bobby?
So firstly, that's the problem when you shoot it on camera, you'll always have it as a reference. But having said that, JWT has always been seen as a suit-led agency and a great on strategy kind of agency. I think going by the times and given the fact that we know that creativity or ideas are at the center of everything we do, we think it's high time we went and wholeheartedly embraced a model of a chief creative officer. Now, as a chief creative officer, you will have a team. We have about little under 300 people in creative. I think they need a leader, and they need somebody who's off the craft skill rather than someone like a suit or someone like me trying to always impose an idea on somebody. And this is where the change is going to be. So this is really a top level appointment. We've not wholeheartedly actually had a chief creative officer. So for us, it's a big step forward. We believe it will work because there is a team, but the team needs leadership. And that's where Bobby came in.
So, Bobby, you've actually moved out of Mudra at a time when that agency is just poised to take off, with Omnicom taking on majority stake, right? One is assuming that Mudra is, going to become a lot bigger, going to have a lot more high-profile clients as well. I mean, not the scale and the size of JWT, but definitely much bigger. So, obviously, one was expecting your role to become a lot more significant at Mudra, at the Mudra Group. I mean, at a time like this, you chose to decide. You chose an exit. That is actually very interesting. Could you explain your rationale?
No, see, you know what? I mean, Omnicom coming on board and sort of taking charge of Mudra and is going to sort of galvanize the agency, galvanize the group as a because they're really good. Omnicom is. I mean, so. All credit to that, and definitely my profile was going to change and the role would have changed. But in the end, like I said, it would have been exciting, yeah. And I think sensible or logical thinking would tell you that a place that you've been successful, where you've turned it around from it was not seen as a terribly creative agency to one of the more harder shops in the country. Definitely, I mean, at Cannes, we were the winningest agency in the DDB network. So, so having done that, the logical thing would be to sort of stay there and enjoy your success. But the challenge of taking on this role of partnering Colvyn might be intimidating, but it is also liberating because you start so high. Right, so if you fly, you will only get higher, right? So that's the thing.
Colvyn, coming to you, you've had your set of challenges retaining creative talent in JWT. I mean, there have been some of the best minds that have actually worked in this agency, but there has been. You cannot deny that there has been a set of challenges. Why do you think it's going to change this time around?
If you look at the scale of JWT, or if you look at the scale and the ambition of our clients, it's really all about being leadership, leading a category, leading a market space. And with due respect to people who were here earlier leading the creative charge, it was a daunting task. Now, I think in Bobby's case, he comes from a large framework of a company like Mudra. He's worked in the largest agencies like Ogilvy in New York and he's worked in Chicago. I think that brings a certain mindset. One is it brings a mindset of working with clients who are ambitious, clients who think of scale, and clients who really rely on creativity and ideas which work in the marketplace. I think he brings that to bear. Two is, I've discussed the scale with Bobby at every point. It is a daunting task for most people to suddenly say, oh my God, if I have to see so many brands every day, it's going to be a drain on everything. But the fact is, if you look at it from a perspective that every brand there is an opportunity, every brand is either India's most admired or the world's most admired. That's the stable of brands we have, bluest or blue chip brands.
You always, whenever you're looking for creative talent, right, at the top, you always seem to outsource. Why don't you ever elevate the talent you have within?
I mean, I would have loved to, but the fact is, I think there was maybe a leadership element, or somebody who was willing to take on this entire, let's say, scope and scale of what the job challenges will present itself. Bobby's done it, so I just thought that was a much better way of doing it.
So, Bobby, have you ever had any experience of leading a creative team of 300 and clients of over 200 in total, an agency? Is this your first time?
Of course.
Yeah.
There isn't. I mean, I mean, if I was working in India, there wouldn't be, there's nobody else except the guys who've done it before, who have that experience, because nobody else has that. True.
So why would you think he's the right man?
Can I, for a moment, yeah? Pastor run the credit department, and I was part of the business part of it as well, of a group that had nearly 20 companies, from as diverse as trade marketing to traditional advertising. So scale is something that I'm not, yeah, right? Also operating in different sort of touch points is something I've done, right? And we've tried certain things there, and I think we can only get better at that. That journey has just begun. So these things don't faze me.
Colvyn, if you just look back in the last 2 years, it's been a rough 2 years for the agency and for you. A lot of senior people, very capable people, have quit the agency, and you've also been facing some kind of turbulent times with your high-profile clients, right? Some of them have gone for, short stints to other agencies, small hot shops, etc. Is there increasingly a lot of pressure on you to deliver, creatives as maybe you've not been delivering to the best of your ability as an agency?
So let me tell you what I don't like. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, for me, a client is everything, or that brand is iconic and it means everything to us. Obviously, I would not like that brand to be, maybe call me being, I just want to hold it to myself or whatever it is. I don't want somebody else to work on it, because I want to be responsible and accountable for the entire market share of that category or company.
Absolutely.
When it goes out, I'm not actually responsible any longer, because I'm only doing half the job.
Sure.
And if you look at the full spectrum of what we do, if I'm doing half the job and somebody else is doing another half and somebody else is doing a quarter, along the way, the accountability does not rest only with an agency.
Absolutely.
So what are we trying to do? We're going to want to go back to that accountability and be prepared to say we want to handle the entire relationship, and the entire accountability on that brand rests with us. That's what we want to do.
You say your creativity slipped a bit only because if you go back, you've had a slight issue with retaining all the work with Airtel, with Pepsi. They have gone to smaller shops, and they are okay with this infidel relationship they share with JWT, and actually there are more and more clients today that are actually are of the belief that that's fine. I mean, one partner is
so when
boring.
You named the clients, you named all of them.
Yeah.
Because across 200 clients, we have, yes, we do need to improve our work on 2. And even if you look at those 2, they're elements of the work which we have to do. So it doesn't go beyond that. So if that's a parameter, then on that parameter, I think, yeah, there have been projects which we've lost. So that's what we need to build back. So I'm not shying away from that. So that's definitely something which we want to do. But coming back to, on an overall basis, for every client and many of our clients, we had the 100% relationship. Our clients range from market shares of 20% all the way up to 80%.
Sure.
As we take on a client, we close that category down. We have no white spaces currently in our portfolio.
All the very best to you, Bobby, in your new role as managing partner and CCO, and all the very best to you, Colvyn. May this partnership last for longer than what we've seen before.
I hope so, and I'm sure it will.
It will.
Well, luck to Bobby Pawar on his new mandate at JWT, and let's hope history doesn't repeat itself. On that note, let's slip into a quick break, but coming up is a very candid interview with the global CEO of Nielsen. Stay with us.